For almost 50 years, Midway USA has been America's go-to source for just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Go to midwayusa.com to see our latest deals and promotions and take advantage of our super fast same-day shipping. If you need a cooler, a new fishing rod, another rifle, ammo, or a reloading press, you can find it all at midwayusa.com. Thanks for your business. Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at midwayusa.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to midwayusa.com.
Just be sitting up here jacked with Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting a...
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
we call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bulls. Just
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast?
My name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
I don't remember anyone asking you. Yes.
I was just giving my thoughts. And
oh, right. Okay, sorry. Yeah, you.
Oh, waiting room. What's this? I gotta admit him. Okay. Derek's trying to sign. These guys, I don't know how long they've been sitting there, but
that's all good.
I was having issues with audio to start. I figured it out, though.
Oh, yeah. There he is.
Hi, Derek.
Hey, Derek.
How you guys doing?
Good. I have to, for some reason, I have to admit everyone in. It doesn't let you just sign in.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, actually.
I had to get a new laptop. My other one, it wouldn't. I don't know what happened, but
it like updated too. Like, and now it's Zoom Workplace now or something. It's weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't even notice. Yeah,
it took forever to log in. It must have updated since the last time we did a podcast.
I hate when they do the updates because it just fucks everything up. Earmuffs.
Yeah. Noise cancelers.
Yeah. So should we wait for the old pudgy guy? Not you.
I do like Pete, but it's your show.
Yeah, we'll give him a few minutes. He said he's on. Let's just check. He messaged. Fuck, man. I feel like a youngster in this room. Oh, hold on. Here he is here.
That's so rude. It's so rude that I'm going white.
Okay. He's still doing his thing. Okay, so they did update it. Where's the record button?
I thought it's already recording, it says.
It's recording.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says it is.
Yeah, it's as soon as I dialed in, it was already recording, so got some heavy editing up front there.
Yeah.
Oh, just grip it and rip it, man. I better turn my ringer off. Right on. So we got a couple new faces today. Bree, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Bree.
Bree Toy?
Yeah.
All right. Killer intro.
BLT for short.
BLT? Yeah, that is your
BLT for sure. I like it.
Turkey Killer.
The Turkey Killer, yeah.
The Turkey Killer.
You killed a turkey before Ashley did.
Uh-huh.
Well, hey, I wouldn't be setting your levels of success against me. Just keep hammering on your own path.
Well, I mean, you guys got quite the story to tell. But before we get into that, Jesse, you haven't been on the show, so maybe why don't you give yourself a little intro and just let the listeners know, a little bit about yourself, kind of your background, how you got into hunting, and how you met old Stuckless there.
Okay, well, that's a funny story. So my name's Jesse Wayne Regnier. Stuckless always calls me Jesse Wayne. My last name's French, and no one ever gets it right. So usually go by Jesse Wayne. Grew up hunting. I grew up in the Lower Mainland, but my dad was from Barrier and Kamloops, so he was a big time hunter. And every weekend we got in hunting season, we were out hunting. So mule deer is my true passion. I actually got into stone sheep hunting in about 2020. Was my first stone sheep hunt. My actually first sheep was a Cali. I got into that in 2018, my first year in Lillooet when I was working up there, and my second day hunting Calis and found a legal ram and thought it was easy as finding an any buck in October, but the next 5 years proved that to be wrong. But
sounds like my elk hunting was like that. First year I went elk hunting with my cousin. Worked out right away. He's an experienced elk caller, and then after that, he was like, "You're on your own." And yeah, 4 years later.
yeah, it's like first year beginner's luck, I guess, or something. But I'll take it because now they've closed it to LEH, so I'm happy I got one when I got one because I'll never get that draw. I can't get a 3-to-1 odds draw, so but I'll keep putting in for it.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, you'll get me fired right up, and the whiskey hasn't kicked in yet. So,
Derek, look at Derek sitting down. He's just sitting there smiling because Alberta, they got it all figured out.
Yeah, like 25 years.
I actually got my first goat draw. I've been putting in for this area for 10 years, and the odds were 3-to-1 for the first 4 years, and then they went to 5-to-1 and 6-to-1. And I've had a buddy that's been drawn 3 times in that area in the 10 years I've been putting in. So something's rigged, or I'm cursed.
There's a elk draw down here, and like I put Wyatt into it. This was his 3rd year because he's just turning 13. So this was his 3rd year putting in. I put Bree in. This is her 1st year with a hunting license. My dad's been putting in since he's moved to down to Kelowna. I think in 2001, never been drawn. I don't know anyone to drawn other than my brother. My brother got drawn. He never went. I know a guy that started putting in that draw in like 2020, and this year is I'm not even shitting you, his 3rd year.
No way.
It's
I don't know. I don't understand the system, but we're going down the rabbit hole now. I can see it. We're heading down it.
Yeah. So we'll get out of this. Yeah, continue the story. You get me going.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, now I hunt everything. I chase mule deer is my passion, but I will chase elk if I get the opportunity to. Mount goat, sheep, and whitetails. But yeah, I got lots of plans this year. It's just a matter of if I'm allowed to or not. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old at home, so time is limited. Yeah.
So yeah, we've all been there. I mean,
yeah,
he's kind of in the same spot. He's a little less than 1, but.
Yeah, I'm doing it twice. I got a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, you hit the reset button.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll find time. I'll squeeze it in somewhere between work and family life. But yeah, and then to get back to where I met Ashley. I actually met Ashley on the side of the river. He's glassing sheep up to Thompson. And
I thought you were going to say in a van.
Down by the river. That story checks out.
I would take one look at him and I wouldn't stop. But yeah, no, I saw him glassing sheep, so I pulled in and had a bullshit with him, and we talked for about an hour about sheep hunting, and yeah, the rest is history. And there was a little bromance there, exchanging numbers and talking about hunting and future hunts and texting back and forth, and here we are. We've been on 2 stone sheep hunts together, and this one was a doozy. So
yeah, a little better than the last one worked out. And
yeah, Ashley really screwed up last year. He ruined it, kind of. But he did
and he didn't, because it makes this year's all that much more sweeter.
Yeah, it's
right?
a hell of a story. Yeah, complete redemption.
Yeah,
holy smokes,
for sure. And it's those lows that you have to go through, those fails, and then when you turn it around and you no short of relentlessness on both your guys' side, Ashley, especially with all the hard work you put into last year. Ashley, I got a question for you. I wanna start this podcast off with asking you a pretty serious question. Now, I know you both away from hunting and in the hunting space. I know you're very successful in life, in business, and in craft. And for me, I think about like these successes that you have, and it's just like I just an unwillingness to quit, like just endless relentlessness. So I want you to just quickly give me a little bit of what's success to you? Like sum up success. When I think of what you've gone through last year and where you are at now, and with the success of the season starting out, you know, I mean, you guys can tell the story, but I mean, like was it opening day Rams? Yeah, opening day Rams. I mean, it's just amazing. So talk a little bit about that, buddy. Talk a little bit about like just not quitting and just where you find success.
Yeah, I think whether it's high VC or the pipeline business and stuff, you're gonna have lows, you're gonna have hard times, and you have to be able to persevere through that. You sort of you can't quit easy. If you're an easy quitter, then it's kind of hard to get to success in anything that you're doing. So, and your mind's going to tell you to quit. Like, no matter how determined you are, your mind's going to say, you're charting the wrong path there. So you really have to mentally power through that, and you have to believe in yourself to dig yourself up out of some of that stuff. I think last season's a good example of that. I mean, I've certainly went through lows in my career. It's not all rainbows and butterflies, but it's been a lot of it's associated with building relationships. I think some of the times when I've been the lowest in my professional career, it's been maybe someone I've helped up in the past when they were going through a low that really comes in clutch when you need it. I've been pretty slow since I came off the major pipeline project that I was on since the spring. So, all intent and purposes, I've sort of taken advantage of that to have the available time to sort of double down on, learning to edit. So it's sort of turning that low on that side into a platform for me to push up on high BC. And, I had the, from being hunting my whole life, but really getting the bug hard for the last 10 years, and having last year, I spent a couple years before last season sort of trying to learn how to run cameras and stuff. I'm still in that process, but the learning curve at that point was like this big mountain, and then to get kicked in the guts with the worst season that I'd experienced in about the 10 years since I've been really taking hunting quite a bit more seriously as an individual, was something I had to just sort of power through. And so I just kept grinding on trying to get better with what I could control, which was, learning how to film and producing some decent hiking videos, and then, preparing for what I, knowing that if I keep grinding, if I just don't let myself quit, that I'll get back to better times, and hopefully all the grinding I was doing in the dumps is going to pay off. And I think kicking this fall season off with the sheep thing was proof of concept. It was kind of like, thank goodness, like you invest, because you don't know, no one knows, and there's no guarantees. So, but once you've pushed through some tough stuff in your career or your life or your personal life or family life, and you get through it, and then you build off that, you get a little more callous to the nasty side of not everything being rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, and you learn how to course correct too, right? Like you fall down, you get up, you make a course correction, and you keep pushing forward. That's interesting. You're talking about work there. It's kind of funny how that works. Seems like one door is closing, but as it's closing, a window's opening, right? And it's all about perspective and how you're looking at it.
Yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
guys, so should we start off? Let's sum off because I think it's been about just almost a year now since we talked about the failure of last year. So
Mhm.
why don't you guys, if you can, just maybe give us a little refresher on what happened last year, and then we'll get into talking about how things transpired this year.
Jesse, you want to? I've let this spiel go about the lows and how that went. You want to give that a rip? I'd like to hear your perspective on it, actually.
On last year?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, joking aside, when I said Stuckless ruined it all with the miss, if anything, actually, what that miss did, going back to the whole failure thing, is it gave us a drive to succeed this year. I mean, I don't know how many times Stuckless and I talked on the phone and, exchanging maps and where we think, the Rams are going to be and what other basins we need to glass. And I think the drive was a lot harder this year, and failure was not an option this year. We were willing to work our asses off to get it done, and we did. It just happened a hell of a lot faster than we thought it was going to happen. That doesn't usually happen to me, so that's a first, or maybe a second. But yeah, it's not common. But last year, yeah, there was some severe lows with that miss, and we spent what 7 days after that trying to find Rams, and we did find a few other Rams. But the win that year was just swirling everywhere, and we could never get it to work in our favor. And again, one of those things I've never had happen. Usually, you can play the wind, and you'd play it one way, and then all of a sudden it just switch on you and blow up your ass. And we came over a hill, and those three Rams, which were beautiful Rams, took off, and we spent 2 days looking for them. So there was a couple lows last year that really hit us, and packing out light is never a good feeling. But then again, after this year, I kind of, I miss packing out light because it was hard. I'm still recovering. I've tried working out here the last couple of days, and I'm just like, what is wrong with my body? And I think my body's still telling me like, no, you got to rest. But yeah, there was still lots of. I say overall last year, I think it was a success. It built our friendship closer, and we've become closer as friends. And you spend that much time in the bush together with no cell phones and no communication with others. It's you better get along. And Stuckless and I get along. We poke fun at each other a lot, but that's what makes it enjoyable. But yeah, I think the highs were more than the lows last year. Maybe maybe for me more so than Stuckless. I think he was down for a couple of days, but he kept the spirits pretty high for the rest of the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the hunt itself, I didn't crash out off that low. I was severely disappointed and shocked in my mistake. Having a year to reflect on it, and being able to talk about it off of a successful sort, quote unquote redemption hunt. I mean, it's given me even better volume to my voice to talk about that miss. I was obviously upfront about my error with the turret and all that, but I really think, like I just had it in my pocket because I showed it to John earlier. And I think I might have showed this before here. This is the shell I missed with that year, and it says "Don't miss" on it with a black Sharpie now. And that thing stared me in the face for, the better part of 365 days. And like Jesse says, when we're planning and desktoping, the great redemption, what you always have these high hopes as a hunter. We, I'd the bullet would catch my eye in the background, and there just was this burning desire to get back and set that right. After sending hundreds of rounds downrange last year, to airmail that Jeep was pretty rude. It was pretty rude, and more rude like through the year. And then, as we ramped up towards getting back after it this year, it was definitely fuel in my fire, but I was super nervous. I was like, I can't make mistakes, or, I really don't want to be the cause of anything, because things can happen. so I was very optimistic, but I still had a bit of a dampening of my confidence going in, thinking, okay, first things first, we got to find sheep, and then don't screw it up, buddy. Like, come on. And like, and film it, and then be like, oh, I just really, you're kind of vulnerable when you're sharing these stories and stuff, in the fact that like, I don't know if I would have had the heart to show it if I blew it this year, but I mean, it really does up the ante when you're really trying to tell the story of a resident hunter, and we all have failures, and we all kind of screw up from time to time. Even those of us that that aren't willing to admit it. Anyone who's done any level of hunting screws up. Maybe not airmailing the sheep like I did, but hey, there's mistakes. So
well, I think with any success in any direction, you're going to have more failures than success, right? Like, you're not going to just, I mean, it's not going to just happen. Don't get me wrong. I mean, sometimes when you're hunting, shit just works out. But I mean, those are very rare opportunities. How many times did you check your turret when you had your eye at the scope?
That's super funny, because John said that to me today. So I had to dial for the shot on this one, so I wasn't necessarily checking my turret at that point, but there was multiple times on the 18-kilometer initial hike in, and as we were going through, the really gnarly, grizzly brush going up there, that I was like, okay, windage turret, elevation turret.
Yeah.
Like, I'd pull my neoprene sock over, I'd do a little skirt check, and then I'd be like, okay, we're good. Because I was like, I can make a different mistake, but I can't make that mistake again. That was a deep lesson. So if I had to be honest, I bet you before I shot that sheep, I had done an elevation windage turret check about half a dozen times. Legitimately, like, look, zero, not one click off, zero, just actually checked it out. And those turrets have nice subtension, so I never had to correct anything at any time.
So you guys went in there, talk a little bit about your hunt plan and preparation and stuff. Like, you guys went in there early, obviously.
Yeah, we went in last year. We went in 3 days early, and this year, we had work schedules to consider, and there's only so much time that we got out of it. And I think a learning of last year, we felt that that because we didn't displace with a solid 10 days of hunting on the back end of those 3 days of hunting, we sacrificed some hunting days. Because we, just in case there was competition in the area, we wanted to lay a line, get eyes on early. We hadn't been there before, all that good stuff. But this year we went in a day and a half early, so it was late morning of the second day. We got dropped off sort of semi late in the afternoon again, pounded by rain and hail. So we ended up getting in about noon on the day before opener, so we could be set up and have a look around.
So quite a bit. So not too much earlier then, I guess. So did you guys do any scouting that day when you got there?
We had planned to, but like Ashley said, the rain was hammering on us. So we didn't get as far as we wanted to get. I think we hiked, 5 hours, 6, and then we pulled the pin where your boots are soaked. Doesn't matter how much rain gear or gaiters or whatever you're wearing. It's that torrential downpour and all the grizzly brush, soaking you. Every time
everything's wet. Yeah,
everything's soaked, and you're sitting there and you're trying to glass. We got to some open faces, and my bottom jaw was just jittering, and Ashley's laughing at me, and we're both just shaking. We're like, we got to get a fire going here and get in some cover and set up tent. It's 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. Let's get dry. So we decided not to make the push the first day. Made the push the second, which ended up being a good call.
Yeah. So opening morning, you guys already knew where you're going to? Like, you guys already had the route planned out?
You want to take this one?
I think
Ashley.
I think he's got some audio issues, or maybe he just doesn't want to talk anymore. But either way,
Says he's
you're
on
up.
mute. Okay, I'm up. Yeah. Actually, that was the
No,
31st. It's just
yeah,
the
he's good.
31st was the second day. That's when we got into our base camp around, I think 1 or 2,
Mhm.
and set up. And yeah, we had game plan. We knew we were going to sit there for the next day and a half, 2 days. And I have ADHD. I can't sit still. I'm the type of guy. It's like the next hill. That's where the big buck is. That's where the full
Yeah.
curl ram is. Like,
That's the
me.
hardest part about, like, even like when you're same with goat hunting. You know what I mean? Like knowing that you're in the right place, but you just have to, you got to just play it out. You got to stay the course. You have to just sit there and they're going to show up, right? You know they're there, or they're going to be there, right? You just know. And like,
We sat we sat there for 2 hours, Kevin, and I was already talking Ashley into going up what we call Guide Valley. I'm like, we gotta head a different valley. Like, we haven't seen any rams come out, right? And he's just like, listen, John said, let's just sit here. The rams will show. They move constantly. And no shit, within an hour or two after that, I put my glass up and I spot this ram running across the snow about 4 kilometers away. And that became my primary focus, was that zone. And within the next hour or so, you keep going back to that spot. 4 other rams showed up. We had 5 rams, and you'll see it in the footage and stuff. But with the Olin case and Ashley's camera, we were able to zoom in, and you can identify right away that the one I shot was 3 inches over the nose, full curl.
Right.
And Ashley, he picked out Chip right away. I was looking at the ram and I was like, oh, there's a real heavy ram with them right above. And he comes over and takes a look, and he's like, that is Chip. That's the Chip. That's the name that he gave his ram that he missed last year. And I'm like, no
what
way.
What are the chances of that? You know what I mean? Like,
it's not Chip. I didn't believe it. I was like, it's not Chip. Like, we're in a similar area, but it's a different mountain range essentially where Chip was. So I'm like, there's no way it's Chip. And secretly inside him, I don't want it to be Chip because it's a big, heavy ram. I'm like, well, that's the one I'm going to pull the trigger on. I my first stone is a tip out nice ram, so I was kind of looking for that old, massy, aged out ram. So secretly, I didn't want it to be Chip. But the more and more we looked at it, I was like, that is Chip, and I was never going to shoot Chip underneath Stuckless. So we already knew going in, and he kept saying to me, he goes, I can sense that you want to shoot Chip. And I was like, I would shoot Chip over the one I'm going to shoot, but I would never do that. This can go 2 ways. It's one, well, fuck, Ashley, you had your chance last year. You screwed up. So let Jesse take the shot. Or there's the other, is do the right thing and be the good friend and say, hey, this is your redemption. This is the Cinderella story of all sheep hunting. You're going to get another crack at your ram that you missed last year. And obviously, the end story, it all unfolded the way you wanted it to. And
so like, awesome. Like, it would have been, it might have came to fist fights if he ended up being the only legal ram in the whole valley that he's seen. I could just imagine, like the one ram.
He still would have got him. I couldn't do it. There's no way I couldn't do it. Yeah. But yeah, it was, I still didn't believe it until we got closer, and it took us about 4 hours to get closer to those rams, which we spotted those rams. What time was that, Stuckless? Around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. And a huge rainstorm was coming in. And, of course, me having ADHD, I just wanted to move. Let's get close to the rams, pack up camp, and get into that basin 4 kilometers away. And Stuckless is like, no, they're not going anywhere. Let's wait out the rain. Let's not get soaked again. And let's push across the creek in the morning and get up there. And 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, got up and glass, and they were in the exact same spot. So 4 hours of belly crawling and getting in there, getting close, and they were still there. So
you guys kind of had a plan what you were gonna do the next morning. Like, all night, I could just imagine the amount of sleep that Ashley must have got, thinking, there's the ram that he missed last year, and having a redemption opportunity on the same ram.
At that time, we were 90% sure it's the same ram, but he was 100%. I was more 90. But he said, he looked at that ram for 200 hours of editing, so he knew every little mark on that sheep and the way his horns, because he kind of looks like an aoudad, sort of He's kind of got a weird shape to him. But yeah, not much sleep
He
was had
probably
that
had he probably had a picture of it on it right on put on his wall, eh? Like, you know, a fighter that gets beat by his opponent and just like the way he looks at every day, just building like you.
You know how many times I wanted to send him a screenshot, just a text of the ram throughout the year, but just to
That's
razz
awesome.
him. Oh yeah, I bugged him quite a bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think actually dropped off the call. It's like
Yeah, I think so too. He's coming back, but
he had enough. He's like, I'm not
yeah.
listening to this shit anymore. I'm done. So
Yeah,
he's
man. And
yeah.
so let's hear about your ramp. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your ramp. Beautiful ramp. Like we've all seen it on
Yeah, awesome.
Instagram, and I'll have photos of it up, either that for the artwork or something, but just an amazing ramp.
Yeah, he's a gorgeous ram, and to be honest, from the distance we looked at him, he had all the mass and the curl that you want in a ram. Getting up close, his mass shrunk a little bit. Um, I've shot a couple sheep, so I have I put kind of a higher expectation on myself to shoot something special. Like I said, going over the old AG Massey ram, but yeah, he's 3 inches over the nose, and he's white as a doll, and he's just gorgeous. No matter which way he turns, you could see his horns were right in his eye view, and yeah, he's getting shoulder mounted for sure. And
Yeah. What so how many legal rams were there out of the 4 rams that you guys seen?
there was 5 rams, and
5
we
rams?
think there was three legal rams. There was another blonde white ram that it's funny now. I actually phoned Stuckless today, and I was like, hey, can you send me a screenshot or a video of the other blonde ram just to make sure I shot the right ram? Because from a distance we were glassing all these sheep, and one looked really special, and I think it is the one I got. But
it is for sure.
But when you look,
it is for sure. But the other one had nice mass and was probably legal as well.
Yeah, he had heavy mass on him, but he didn't have that swoop or that curl that mine had.
Yeah, the tip out. Yeah,
yeah. But we didn't give enough time to look at him. We knew our 2 target sheep we were going for, so we didn't even look at him. But,
so how did you guys plan it? Was it a 3, 2, 1 shoot?
I'll let you go through this, Stuckless.
Yeah, sure. It was, and so we were so there's 5, like Jesse said, but one of them was a bit of a century, a bit of a 4 or 5-year-old that was running satellite on these guys, and he was in the cliffs about 250 yards away from us, about halfway to where the other group of 4 were, and from 800 yards, we were able to really get a good assessment of an approach that might work to get us a little closer. We're really trying to get to that 300 yards or closer, which is typically doable in most scenarios. When you have a drainage on the downwind side, you scoot up through that and you kind of rain down from above, and they're relatively you can be pretty effective at getting in close. But in this case, we had that sentry laying over us there, that young ram scouting, and we belly crawled from 800, and we were going from one tree belly crawl, and like flat on the ground belly crawl, not up on our doing a dog crawl. We were full belly crawl, and we were able to creep up within just over 500 yards, and then we ran out of ground. It bowled out. That sheep was up to the left of us, and we ran out of little Christmas trees. So they're pretty skilled at where they set up, and so we had to talk to ourselves for a while there, and really make a decision if there really was another way. Could we circle back out of there and come across the top? And it was a really big castle complex of mountains, and then if we tried to hit it mid slope, it's all full of scree. So and because they were on a pretty tight ledge there, we're like, okay, do we take turns shooting, or is it like when we were actually going up, when we were driving up on the highway, we're chatting back and forth. We actually practice the cadence of the 3, 2, 1. We don't say shoot, but we shoot on the same cadence. And we were saying it. I'd say it, he'd say it, and then, you know, we did it 3 or 4 times, maybe on a couple different occasions. Just as
so you guys had manifested this already. That's why, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where you're just saying, well, if we have to, do we? Because we discuss it. If we have to, do we do the one shoot? And because a lot of times they just pop up and you'll get that second opportunity, or do we say, you know, we don't want to risk anything and we trust ourselves to do the countdown? And so it, you know, I don't know how long it was. Maybe it was 15 minutes. We weren't detected by the satellite RAM or them. And we had nowhere else to go. So we just sort of assessed the shots, really set up our rests, and we're just going back and forth. We're both on, each of us just on the opposite side of one of those, you know, those subalpine fir or whatever, little sprucey tree. And we're just eyeballing each other back and forth. Or is this what we're going to do? And, you know, are you comfortable? Yeah, I'm solid. Yeah, I'm solid. I got this shot. I didn't want this shot, but I got this shot. You know, but can we count it down and not jump each other? So we had a rule that we do the countdown, but if anyone had that twitch or their crosshairs start to do anything, like we want it rock solid, you know, you just had to say one word and everybody pulls off trigger. And we just ran it once. we ran the game once with a 3, 2, 1, touched off, and you know, when I review the footage, it's like it's not perfect, but you know, it's very close, extremely close. And I don't know if when I touched off, if I jumped Jesse a little bit, or you know, there's some wind there too coming down in the valley. So long story short, I planted Chip. He went about 15 yards and then dumped back. And then I did the shoulder check on Jesse. I could see his ram actually in my scope as well, but I didn't register whether he hit or not because I was so zeroed in on mine. And he got the wind drift and the combo, the jumper, whatever. It's a long shot, you know, 535 yards. So
how far was your shot?
535 for both of us, because we were
Okay.
in the exact same spot, and the rams were within 1 or 2 yards of each other. You know how you're getting yardage at that distance, you're hit or miss 5 yards kind of thing. And so, you know, I watched him in my scope go up. I was just going to cycle the bolt to drift another one in him, because I usually take at least a follow up. They can suck up quite a bit of punishment. And but he had enough. He kind of painted the rock behind him and just folded hard and right where he was at there. So I was like, okay, Chip's down. I hear that footage when I'm looking. Now I'm reviewing the footage. I see Jesse's miss, and then
whoa.
And
whoa. Chirping already, eh? I love it. Like,
wow.
Like, just forgot about last year. Like, yeah, he missed. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen it. I've really slowed it down. So he missed. He had perfect elevation. So, you know, whether it's a combination of pull or a little wind, he just nicked by him there. So
I thought you were gonna say marksmanship. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
No, Jesse's proven himself. Jesse has proven himself under pressure and on camera. I mean, he knocked that one shot on that blacktail at 400.
I seen it. You dropped that thing. That was a big blacktail too, man. That thing was a toad.
It was a toad for a blacktail.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, and to defend
big
myself.
body too. So
not to defend myself too much.
So then yeah, you can't defend yourself at all.
No.
You just reviewed the lows on here, man. You just went for my last year and you just hung me out.
I'll explain myself after.
Yes, you'll get.
Okay, we'll let Ashley tell his story, then Jesse, you can tell the truth.
I'm telling my version. I like my version, and mine's verified by video. So
Yeah, who's doing the
So-
edits? I wonder. Eh, cuts all the.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh yeah. If I can make a complete airball look okay, what
Yeah.
can I do?
Hey, they could do a lot of things with AI nowadays, buddy. We know.
It's scary.
Holy
But
smoke.
you know, it was I didn't celebrate when I got chipped. All I said was I got chipped down, and then I went instinctually. I just went for the telephoto, and I knew at that point that Jesse missed because he had expressed that, and then but they bailed right up over the back, so they were gone to us for about 30 a minute maybe, and because Chip got knocked down there. They came back, they tipped back into the little hole. One of the buddies even walked up pretty close to him and said, "Oh, I guess Chip's not going anywhere." And then they're like, "Okay, let's exit another way." And they made the mistake of exiting up a cut drainage. So they went out of sight of us. And then we caught a quick glimpse of them. So we knew they were going through that drainage. So it was a long 10 or 15 minutes of us sitting there, and I was sick for Jesse because it felt a lot like.
Oh, you weren't as sick as I was, but
No, but hey, but like I was sick enough not to be cheering or hooping and hollering.
You were good. You weren't cheering. You weren't celebrating.
I was like, but when I knew they went through that chute, I was like, man, he is probably going to get another chance here. Then when they came out, they were cruising. Three of them were cruising along through the scree pretty good there, and then they got towards the skyline, and Jesse's like, "Are you on them?" And I got the telephone flying around here, and I'm on two other rams, and they're clearly not legal. Like I'm like, shit, those. He's like, "Are you on him?" He's on the skyline. These other two happen to be right on the skyline, like 50 yards away, and he was higher than them. And he touched the shot off. Whap, boom. All right, he's down. He gave the positive. I heard
You're
it.
sitting there the whole time,
and I'm like, I'm like, thank God. Like I was just about to pull the emergency card to say, no, don't shoot those. That's, but he was right on the correct ram, and then instantly when he shot and said I nailed him, I knew it wasn't the two banana rams that I had the film on. So I just swung the camera, and he was just getting back up to his feet, moving across the scree, and he put another one in and just planted them. And then, he went to central sheep roll, and Jesse's saying, "Stop, stop." And I'm saying, "Roll, roll, come on, get down here." And that's the way I remember it anyway.
Let me tell you from the depressed guy's side of things.
Having audio problems.
Yeah. So Ashley's story lines up. It's pretty accurate. However, when we touched off the shots, I kind of knew right away that I had missed. I had made a lot of long range shots. I shot mule deer over 500 and sheep over. Yeah, long ways. Gun's capable. I practice. I'm capable. I know it. There was a strong wind in our direction. My fault. I didn't take into account a lot of the wind at the sheep. So that's a lesson learned. Like you got wind blowing in your face. It's not necessarily what's happening at the sheep 500 yards away. So after reviewing some of the footage, you can see a lot of the grass blowing right and down. Mm-hmm. And I didn't adjust enough for it. I thought I did, and I think I ended up.
What kind of adjustment did you make for that? Like you're doing a holdover, obviously, holding to.
I have the turrets dialed, so my elevation was right. It's the windage. So, you have 30, 40 kilometer hour winds. So you're going to want to hold a little further left, which I didn't account for. I kind of just held where I wanted to hold right behind the shoulder, and it ended up drifting right. And Stuckless, I think, after we had discussed, he accounted for a lot of the wind. He held forward. He knew he'd done a lot of long range shooting, and he hit where he needed to hit. So
I know it always blows my mind. I know Derek talks about that shit all the time. I mean, 100 yards. When you're hunting with a bow, whatever wherever you're standing, it's generally doing the same thing. 50, 60 yards away, it's generally blowing the same way. So you don't really have to take all that into consideration. So it's pretty amazing when you guys talk about that. Like I remember when Ashley and I were out chasing bears, and he was shooting across the canyon at 600 yards, and he's like, "Want me to hit that rock?" I'm like, "What rock? A rock across the canyon?" I was like, "You're not gonna hit that fucking rock. It was painted white, and sure as shit, he fucking nailed it." And I was like, "Jesus."
If you practice enough, yeah, it's you get
Oh
good at
yeah,
it.
without a doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not
But
knocking anyone's capability.
you know, yeah, there was gusts of winds there, and like Stuckless was about to say, even his bullet kind of drifted a little further right than I think you thought it was going to.
Did you make
And the wind,
adjustments for that?
Yeah, I
Also?
did. I
What were you holding
felt
for,
bad.
like,
So
for windage?
I held deep towards the front side of the shoulder. So I was
probably what, like 8 inches you're giving, give or take?
maybe 10 even, and
10, eh?
I still hit him 4 inches back. He
And
was
what caliber,
big.
what kind of gun are you guys shooting? You guys
7 PRC for me, and
7 mm.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, like the
No.
guns are more than capable of that. Like, you know, when I think about it from a film perspective, that's not the shot I'm actually looking for either. That's not the shot I'm looking for as a hunter. I practice a long ways. Like, I'll shoot out to, 1,500 yards, shooting at steel and studying wind and that. For these situations where, that's what we had to deal with. And but from the film perspective, I want that 300-yard shot or closer.
Yeah.
I can fill the frame up with the animal at that point and really present the animal in what we love about how beautiful they are. Try and really capture that in film, and as opposed to longer range shooting where it's a small piece of the frame, and yeah, you get a little bullet trace in there and great, but yeah,
But that's why you got those guns. It's for
it
those.
is.
It's for those scenarios, right? Like
it is. Yeah.
I have guns. I've shot animals 600 yards, but the last one it was 50 yards. It's just depending on how close you can, how much cover you have in the shot situation. It's tough to tell, right? But then if you need to make a shot, it's funny that you say 535 yards because the last bull I shot was 535 yards, and there was 2 bulls with them, and we did the 3-2-1 same thing, and my buddy missed because there's just too much shit going on with muzzle recoil, wind. It was a fast setup, unsupported shots, like this really tough shot, and just all that
Derek,
chaotic stuff.
why did he miss? Was it the same situation where he just wasn't taking into account, like, the wind?
Yeah, he wasn't taking into account the wind, and like I've shot enough that I'm constantly watching the wind. So like I'm always in my head, I'm like, that's a this wind, that's a this wind. I'm constantly, and I have on my watch my wind hold, so I always know what my wind is, right? And I have it etched in my turret. So it's a 10-mile-an-hour wind and it has a value on the turret. So then I know, okay, if it's 20 mile an hour, I just double it or half it or whatnot, right? And I just think he wasn't paying attention to that as much as he should have. And unfortunately, that combined with he shot like just right after me. I think that combined with possibly flinching from massive recoil, right? That it threw him off. But same thing, right? But unfortunately, there was no chance. There's just deep timber, right?
Yeah, I think in fairness to Jesse, and it ends up being I contributed to the error because I'm thinking, okay, I got 2 inches of spin drift here. I'm sort of really kind of going through. I've done a lot of work with Clark Precision over the summer, and I've been really nerding out on the stuff and really working on grip and shoulder pressure, blah, 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 all the fundamentals to it. And so I'm going through my sequence, but I'm also just trying to be calm myself, which I felt very calm. And then I was also trying to promote Jesse to be calm. And I over called the fact that the wind was directly in our face. So I said once or twice, like, don't worry too much about the wind. It's a good stiff breeze, but it's straight at us. But like Jesse said, when we really looked at the footage, yes, it was straight at us. That was accurate, but it was pouring out of the bowl onto them and coming straight left to right. And so I kind of, in trying to sort of promote calmness and sort of take wind call out of it, even though I ended up doing a compensation for it. And it's it was all with the best intention, but I did think that I contributed a little bit to the underhold of the win for Jess there. So not only do I miss my own sheep, I help my fellow hunters miss as well.
I just want to ask a question here. Did you happen to feel like you guys are side by side, you got a tree in the middle of you? Did you by chance like feel a foot like give you a tap at the same time? Just throwing it out there, if you want to relook at some of that footage or think about it a little longer.
Hey,
I know
Pete, what kind of asshole would mess with a guy when he's like at full draw ready to?
I don't know.
Let the trigger go.
This isn't the bighorn.
This is the conversation at 500. This is at 500 yards away before we're even behind the guns. This is sort of like, let's get it all down to ground level. We're gonna make a longer shot than we want to here.
And observe it.
Let's try and so the wind's straight in our face. Let's call the wind as a very minor value. I played more that it was slightly quartered to me, so I did lead the left a bit. I accounted for a couple inches of spin drift to the right, and that's why I led deeper into the shoulder. So I technically undercalled that wind myself as well. I also, even though we're close, and I had understanding the geometry of this is pretty interesting, but we're pretty close from where we're shooting, but he is definitely full perpendicular to the wind, and I came up just that one tree apart at that distance. By the time we traveled 500 yards, I was actually shooting, so I was probably even legitimately experiencing 15% less wind deflection on my bullet. But yeah, I hit him a little back
with a little bit of superiority with the 7 PRC. That extra little bit, it does help.
Yeah, Jess is shooting ELDX 162s. Jess
162s, yeah. We're 160. Yeah, we're talking about this a lot longer than I want to talk about this. So
taking the blame.
Let's get to the hit.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let's get we're gonna get off Jesse's miss here.
It's Jesse's story. Sorry,
I'm just sitting here just listening. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I forgot you did actually get one, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow, and you can play in your head what you did wrong, and you've made those shots before and you've been successful, and when you're taking those shots, there's a lot of chance for error, right? There's you just touch that trigger the wrong way and your bullet's then flying somewhere completely different. So I know the risk involved with it, and doing the old 3-2-1, I'm not going to create any excuses. I fucked up. It was a miss, and it was legit miss, which is a good thing. I wasn't wounding sheep. And but man, you watch that ram. I watched him disappear over the hill, and I watched Stuckless's ram keel over, and that sickening feeling you have. And your buddy can't even celebrate his ram. You can tell he's just as sick as you are. And I remember I had my hand on my face and I was leaning against the hill. I could feel my stomach and my throat. And I don't know if I apologized to you, but I just, there was a moment of silence for a while. And you've got the footage, so you'll see how long it was. But it felt like 20 minutes. But it might have only been 5 minutes. But it was minutes for sure. When I look up to my left at about 450 yards, and I see, we call them the White Knight. It's pure white, the dagger sticking out. And I look up and I go, Stuckless, there he is. He's there. And I get back on the gun, and before I can even get my vinyl harness under to get a good rest at 450, he pops back over the valley. But we both know that area, so we know that he's got to pop out at some point, which way he goes. So I just have to be ready. And we're ranging it, so I'm dialing my turrets, playing with them, and Ashley's calling out. I'm probably yelling at him like he's my kid. And I think you'll see it. Yeah.
I said that.
Yeah, I'm not your
Hey,
kid. Stop yelling
hey,
at me.
I'm not your kid. Stuff. Yeah, I love that.
Trying to shoot a film here. Like, you do your job, buddy. Like, get on your gun and get the sheep down. Yeah.
So this ram comes running out with two other rams, and they're just booking it across the street, and they're kind of high still to us, and they're gonna loop around. And that's what they do. They essentially loop around, and maybe I'm remembering it wrong. This is the way I remember it. And I remember I could just see his headgear on the skyline, and he's walking up, and he's coming back to check in on his buddy Chip, who Ashley killed already. And he just gave me enough. He gave me the top end of his back and his shoulder. And it was 388. I remember you calling it out, 388. And I had a solid rest, and I just put it below his spine and just KO'd him. And again, he tried getting back up, and he kind of staggered, and I put another one in him, and that's when he did the sheep roll down the hill. But man, the celebration and the hugging that went on after that. But yeah, it was redemption for myself.
So you said there was three. You figure there was 3 legal rams in there.
3 legal rams, yeah.
You know, the next time I see Sterling, and if he's listening to this, I'm gonna be like, dude, you missed out on a fucking ram, because he was
legit potentially did, yeah.
And he was going to be third up. I remember talking to Stuckless about it. And he's like, yeah, he's third up. So
yeah, and they stuck around, I think, long enough to make it happen if he really wanted to make it happen.
Yeah, he kind of wasn't the one that popped back out, but you know, this was at 10 o'clock on opening morning. You know, it was like 365 days later at the same hour of the day when I airmailed Chip that, you know, we get the
what time was it when you guys got to the Rams?
I gotta look at it, like, to shoot them.
No, to like
10:30, 11, somewhere around there.
Yeah, because I got a message from your inReach. I don't know, like around noon or 1 o'clock, saying 2 rams down.
Yeah, that was once we got to my ram. You know, until you put hands on both. We went to Jesse's ram first. Until you get hands on both, and you catch, like, there's still a lot of pent up.
I was pretty shocked. Yeah, I was pretty shocked when, you know, I was expecting ram down, not 2 rams down. I was pretty pumped for you guys.
Doubling up. That's nuts.
Yeah, I was excited to send that for sure. I was like, how is this a thing? I get to, you know, send the double on opener, you know, same ram from last year for me for the miss.
And it's just bittersweet. I mean, looking at it now, I mean, you got to be thinking in your head that you wouldn't change a thing.
Wouldn't change a thing. Like this is, you know, I think going through that last year, what it's done for, you know, I'm definitely going to reference when I put together this film. I've been actively working on it already because it's just like feverishly. I'm like, this is the magic I've been looking for, you know, just to reflect, just to prove it on video. Look, there he is last year. There he is this year. There is no mistaking. This isn't the ram that looks like the ram I shot at and missed last year. That is the ram. That's the same nose patch. That's the same hairline. That's the same horn pattern. It's just undeniably beautiful.
Yeah, it's like those stories of those giant bucks that people chase year after year, and when they finally get them,
exactly.
It is very much. Yes, it's for sure that ghost buck you've seen 3 years in a row, and you're just trying to secretly toil away till you get them. You know, you're not even telling your best friends. It's so good that
I have a lot of those ghost bucks out there somewhere rolling around.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, guys. Good for you. I mean, and it just goes to show, you know, no quit, perseverance, relentlessness. You just keep pushing, and you just keep working, man, and shit comes together, man. So good for you both.
Eventually, a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. So it's... But
on our pack out, I was, you know, Stuckless was saying that he wouldn't change a thing, but I remember on our pack out, do you remember what I said to you? And he told me to shut the F up. That's what his exact words he used to me was,
I don't swear.
I said, I said, there's part of me that feels like kind of cheated almost, you know, you prep yourself all year for this, you know, you got every basin, every valley classed out and mapped out, and you know, you have all these intentions of going up here and spotting rams, passing rams, and making moves on this basin. to go in the day before opener and spot these two beautiful rams and shoot them opening morning, and then the next 3-4 days is just pack out. You kind of, I felt, I felt kind of cheated. You just
yeah.
Well, you just got you got to remember last year.
yeah.
It's like this is 17 kilometers into a 24-kilometer hike out. I got 130 on. You've got at least 120 on, and I was like, no, you shut your effing mouth. I did swear, because I was like, you just shut up.
Yeah.
But it's true, you know, like, sure, the ram was 4 or 5 kilometers from where I shot at him and missed last year. This range is pretty expansive in the area here, and these rams don't just hang on this hill. He was on the very opposite end of the same sort of finger range that I was on. So
I could not believe when you told me it was the same ram that you got last year or you missed last year. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, that was
That
mine.
was the same ram. I was like, there's no way. It just looks the same.
And he's a year older too, to boot.
You couldn't.
So
he's bigger.
You couldn't write it. You couldn't write.
So how old was your ram?
10 and full curl on the left side.
Yeah, you could see. You could see 10 rings clear as day.
He's
picture.
10. He might have been 11. He got one false annuli called, but he had perfect matching false, if you want to call them falsies, on each side, which showed about a year's growth that was kind of stunted when he should have been growing about yay much. He actually only grew that much evenly on both sides, and then it went the total circumference. So I talked to the inspector about that, and he said, yeah, we're going to call that a false, but he's 10 all day long. And
okay, now I got a question for you. I'm just trying to get this picture up that you sent me. Now, if it's questionable, you're counting that false. Like, how does that approach? I'm looking at it right now where you can see it. I mean, like, yeah, man, like that. I mean, that to me, it looks like that's a legit ring.
It looks legit. Yeah, it looks like it looks stunted.
Do you guys have this picture, Derek and Pete? I'll send it to you. I think I already sent it.
So
I'll send it to you guys.
Outside of that one,
I just sent it in our group chat.
A falsie, we had him at 10. Last year when I shot and missed at him, we had him clearly at 8.5. But we weren't giving him any favors because we weren't sure. And I think he would have been, somewhere around a quarter inch short of full curl last year. So it would have been age only. We only gave him 8, but he was 9 last year when I missed him.
And we knew with the spacing that he was potentially 9 last year. We knew for sure 8 with the annuli count.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, but okay, back to my previous question. Like, if say this is a questionable thing, you're going to that inspector being like, do you think that, that could be under review where you're like, hey, man, like this is clearly, he calls it a falsie. You guys are saying, this is legit. I wonder how from there, where you go from there. Do you have to?
I think you have a right to challenge the call. I mean, this is a certified.
Not that it matters now. Not that it matters.
No, it doesn't matter for this. But I've thought about that too. Like if I, if I brought an 8.5-year-old in that I called 8.5, felt it was 8.5, and it got called 7.5. If I felt strong enough, I would certainly get some legal advice, and I'd want an opinion from the biologist. I'd want to
get. I guess from there you just seek out more opinions,
biologist. Right? I'd want to take it to that if they'd accept a review of it. And
I guess you could always just take it to other inspectors as well. And I mean, like if you take it to one guy and he says no, and then you take it to 2 other guys and they're like, yeah, clearly it's a yes, right? Then I mean, it's got to be the majority favors, I would think.
Yeah, maybe that comes tricky. I don't know what Jesse thinks about this sort of thing. He might have a good opinion on it, but
I think that's where the bio would come in, and other professional opinions would come in if there was a disagreement between CI or inspectors. But it's happened before for sure, and you're going to trust your bio. I mean, he lives and breathes sheep, so
sure.
And CIs are just good people for the hunting community that are doing. Not a high paid job, and they're just like us. I mean, it's an opinion based piece. before you get deep into the science, if you're really splitting hairs on something. But
what's your thoughts, Pete? What's the age?
Oh, I can't
you
see
can't
it
even
'cause
look
that's on
at
my
it. How about you,
my
Derek?
camera's on that
You
phone.
looking at that thing?
Yeah, I thought it was around 10.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bree says
Yeah.
10, so we're going with 10.
I usually
He's 10. Yeah.
count falses a little
He's
bit
10.
more
He's
strongly. That, yeah.
But if you don't know, you don't pull the trigger, right? Like we
Mhm.
sat on this guy for a half an hour last year at 200 yards away, you know, with very high powered, top quality spotting scopes. And, you know, we had to wait till he put his head down, went to sleep. We see behind the horn, then we had to wait him out and do that. So lots of time to be calm, lots of time to check your turret. That would have been a good time.
Oh yeah.
Fuck, man, imagine that would have happened again.
Yeah, it would have been lots of time to check the turret, but yeah.
Sure, we would have had a new bow hunter on our hand here if that happened a second
Hey, man,
time.
I'm not going to lie to you. There's definitely been times when I've misdialed or forgot to redial my dial, and I've shot over, under, or drawn back and been like, then you could see clearly that you're not on the right marker and you had to draw down, and then there goes whatever it is you're chasing. So, I mean, it can happen. It happens in archery as well. So what, you guys got any more hunts planned together?
I don't know if I'm invited.
Well, you are. I think we'll probably try and recreate that blacktail hunt again. You know, I think that's the one that we're gonna likely get to do again. We can get it done in a 3-day weekend, kind of thing. So that's
Knock
one
on
that's
wood.
in the that we can get done list. I think the rest of our hunting though is probably gonna happen separately throughout the
We
season.
might get on a rut hunt together in
A
November
rut
for
hunt
sure.
together too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
When the snow starts falling this year, though.
Hey, man, I don't know if I'd be doing any mule deer rut hunting with Stuckless. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Just got the mule deer curse, or
hey, and you,
well, he had the sheep curse too.
Guys,
He had the sheep
guys,
curse, so you
guys.
never know, man.
It's the highs right now. You can't keep in the lows. You can't keep grinding me on that stuff. Like,
Do you do any
absolutely
any bow
we
hunting,
can until
Jesse?
you make it through this year.
I do. I have a Bear Carnage compound bow. I've tried. I used to bring it moose hunting, and a funny story. I'll make it short, but I brought it moose hunting and carried my rifle with me for grizzlies just in case, and called a 47-inch bull out. It was tripalm season, and that bull came out at 35 yards with tripalm. And what do you think I went for? I went straight for the rifle. Yeah, no, I went straight for the rifle. And yeah, I've done it a couple times where I bring my bow with good intentions, but yeah. When you have your rifle beside you, it just seems to be my go-to. But no, it's definitely on the bucket list to kill something with the bow, and I'm good up to 40, 50 yards easy. I don't really practice too much outside of that, but I've done some early season alpine hunting with bow, and I crept up on a 175 by 4. I got up to 70 yards, and he was bedded, and I didn't feel comfortable with the shot. Zero wind, but it just was outside my comfort zone. And I tried to get closer another 20 yards, and he caught wind of me and buggered off.
They do. They have a tendency to do that for sure.
But then I started spawning, and yeah, I haven't been chasing with the bow yet. So my time is limited to the rifle. Stays close.
That's fair enough.
Hey, Derek, did you figure out your knock points and your D-loop?
Yeah, I shot out to 100 yards today. I literally was like rolling right in, like right before this. Yeah.
What did you end up going with?
It'd be like over under.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do. I do a double. You could call it. There's different names for it. I do a double clove hitch, top and bottom, and then I don't tighten my D loop as tight because I don't like it screwing up the serving on my.
Yeah, so it's separating it too much. That's what I was calling you about. If you pull the loop end right past it and then tighten it with pliers before you.
Yeah, I do snug it up with pliers, but I cut my D loop pretty short. Like I pre-cut them. I know where to cut them roughly, and then I do it that way just so it doesn't bugger up any of that serving.
Yeah,
because it does move though. If you don't put double knock points, it will pinch together.
Yeah.
Right on,
You guys
boys.
all
Well,
do bow, you guys all do bow hunting? Is that kind of your thing? Bow hunting
Wow.
only, or
I hike with one.
yeah?
this is Pete's year. Yeah, this is Pete's year. Yeah, I've been telling him to put the rifle away for a few years, but this year he said he's going to do it.
Well, for the most part, I did
Bow or nothing.
the last couple because I had the moose draw, I had the elk, and I only had the rifle because of the grizzlies here. And every time I was on a moose, I mean, the rifle got dropped. There's no packing, but where I live down here, you bring one. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. Period. So yeah, it is what it is.
It's the same in a lot of the moose and elk country up this way. It's I always bring my rifle if I'm bringing my bow. It's just so many grizzlies you run into. But
yeah,
I'll be doing 3 days of bow season for elk this year, so I'll be trying. My brother, he's got the calling down. They've pulled 5 bulls out of this area in the last 2 years.
Nice,
he called in two bulls for the boys last year, so he lives and breathes.
Is it 3-point up there or is it 6-point?
6-point only. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, if you're finding that quality of bulls, because I mean that's in BC, that's the hardest part about elk hunting is finding that 6-point.
Yeah, luckily last year the 2 bulls he called in the first 2 days, it's 2 6-points. So
that's nice.
Bang bang
down
done.
Here, we are as short as the season is. I mean, it's 9 days down here. I don't think it's much different for you guys up there.
For bow season, yeah. Same.
Yeah, at least down here though, it's any bull.
Okay.
9 days, but yeah.
Didn't they change that down there, or was it just
West Kootenays?
Oh, just the West Kootenays got changed
so
to it went to 6-point.
Yeah, so pitter patter, I better get at her because soon enough, I'm sure we'll be following suit. I don't imagine it'll be much different for much longer.
Yeah, it'll happen. Like we're just talking about, man. Eventually, it doesn't happen, and then it does, and
every
slowly
year
it all
it's
comes
agonizing
together.
Close.
Oh yeah,
I'll just throw them, even if I can't use my bow. I'm just gonna run. I'm gonna hold that arrow out, something.
Put your head down, just start
Stab
running
him.
around the bush.
Josh Bomar, watch out this year. I'm gonna show you something.
Beard hunting with an arrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I want to congratulate both you guys. Hell of a way to kick off. We're gonna call it a fall season. I know you were chasing bears pretty hard this spring. But great start to the fall season, buddy. And I know, you went through the hardship. Now it's going to be all highs from here on in.
Appreciate it. Probably not all highs, but hey, this is a good hammer here, so I'll take it.
Good start. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something to work off of for sure. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with this fall.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Hey guys, thanks for coming on the show, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. See you guys.
Appreciate it. See you later.
Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA. Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.